is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Yes, time to talk a little Mama Hurricanes. And guess what, man? We get to talk fun Hurricanes now because the last 2 weeks, I got to say, dude, it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed watching what I've seen. And I get it. They're 2 close wins, all this stuff. I look, man, I don't care. Find a way to win and find yourself a quarterback. And boy, they found themselves a quarterback in Tyler Van Dyke.
They have. They really have. And, the kid, what I love most about him, is the fact that he's fearless.
Cojones.
And he doesn't see this as a big deal. Today in practice, I just finished leaving Miami. We asked him, how do you sort of keep your head, focused? Everybody's showing you so much love now. And he's like, all we did was win 2 games.
Right.
So from his perspective, this isn't a big deal. For him, this is just the beginning.
I mean, his moxie, we were all kind of nervous because the moxie didn't have any substance behind it a couple of weeks ago when he started talking. It's like, yo, man, your team sucks. You need to, shut the hell down, But in a way, it's kind of what Manny has said and the team has said, that it was kind of something that they needed and they kind of rallied behind it. And in a way, they had to kind of back their quarterback, which, and listen, Manny, we've been in locker rooms for years and dealing with players. When they know they have that guy, they take it to another level. It's like it's all football teams. I don't care what level it is. When they know they have a quarterback, they know they have a chance to win every game. So you're going to get every ounce of energy out of them during those 4 quarters. And that's what we've seen, that Tyler has had that kind of an impact, I believe, on them.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head. I think when you know that you can win a game and you've got that motivation that, hey, we can be something a lot better than we've been, and that guy's going to lead us to victories, you're just more enthusiastic. If you take the field with a quarterback that you don't have confidence in, you're going to kind of like, well, we're probably not going to win today. And that affects everything. That confidence level affects everything. And that's what we saw last year with De'Aaron King. Everybody who sits here and says, oh, TVD should have been starting from the beginning of this year. Look, De'Aaron King did the same exact thing DVD's doing now, where he's injecting life into the football team. And that's where you have to give Manny Diaz credit. He's done it now with 2 quarterbacks, not just one, with 2. And they've done a good job recruiting those guys. And yes, Dan Enos is the one who recruited Tyler Van Dyke. But guess what? Manny Diaz hired Dan Enos because he was the quarterback whisperer at Alabama. So give him credit for that. Yes, Dan Enos didn't work out as a play caller. The offense wasn't good enough. But he recruited the quarterback, and that's what matters. You get the players in. That's number one.
I'm with you there. And when you look at Tyler, the one thing I will say, and I'm sure Rhett's not going to say that publicly, but what you can see is you have a better passer, back in the pocket. And it's a guy that the legs are the final thing that he will try to use, but more than anything, he's going to try to beat you with his arm. I mean, 2 weeks ago when he did that little sidearm throw, I was like, okay, this kid's got it. He knows how he has a knack of finding a way to make plays. And that's one thing that I will say. I love De'Aaron King. I love what he brought to the table, but they've got a better passer right now in that offense.
And sometimes it makes a difference, right? The kind of style that you're playing. I think for this offense, you need a guy that the defense has to respect the deep ball. And it's not that De'Aaron couldn't throw the deep ball, but it's a different football that's coming out of Tyler Van Dyke's hand than it was De'Aaron in terms of the speed that's on the ball, the accuracy, all of those things. And, I think there's a better supporting cast, too, for Tyler. He's got better receivers than De'Aaron did last season. Okay, so and you could argue that over the last 2 weeks, this has probably been Miami's best offensive line over the last 2 years, right?
Yes.
They've done a much better job protecting the quarterback. So all of that factors into Tyler's success. But overall, yes, and I think more than anything, I think Rhett admitted it yesterday. He said, look, I didn't have the confidence to let this guy rip it against Virginia. It was his first league start. I called a conservative game plan. And there's always a feeling out process. That guy has to, the coordinator and the quarterback have to get on the same page. And credit to Rhett Lashley, he pulled the kid out of the QB room. He sat him down in his office privately and said, you and I are going to break down film because I want you to be honest with me. I want to know what you're comfortable doing, what you're not comfortable doing. And it worked. And it made all the difference in the last two starts for this kid.
The other thing, and of course, Manny Navarro joining us. By the way, you can follow him for those of you listening on the podcast at Manny_Navarro and catch his work there at The Athletic, doing excellent work every single day. And then watching Tyreek and James Williams and Rambo and all these guys and Knighton. That's the other thing, man. That's been the electrifying thing about this 2-game little streak here. Not just the quarterback. It's watching all these fresh faces actually make a major impact on what's going on.
There's no doubt. And I think you forgot one name. The one name I would include in there for sure is Cameron Kitchens.
Yes.
He is a super smart safety. And he knows that defense really, really well. We talked to him again today. Now, one thing I heard from the coaching staff earlier this year was the first two kids in the meeting room all year. I'm talking about since the preseason, since fall camp began, the first two guys in the DB room every day were James Williams and Cam Kitchens. And they were there 15 minutes early, and they were there 15 minutes late studying film. And I know that's the cliche, but the reality is when your freshmen are that hungry to learn and that hungry to get on the field, you end up seeing it. And look, you can have an athletic guy back there at the safety position, and he can do incredible things like James Williams does. But when you got somebody who's really smart and really understands defense the way Cam Kitchens does, and you hear the kid talk and you hear the kid explain what he sees, that's really impressive. You need an Ed Reed back there, right? Well, this kid is kind of like Ed Reed in my mind. He has that kind of cerebral notion. He knows what to call out, and he fit in perfectly replacing Bubba Bolden, who to that point had been their quarterback back there. And so I thought, yes, they had some breakdowns early, but once he got the hang of it, that defense was doing a good job. I mean, he snuffed out that Philly special, right?
Yeah.
That trick play that Pitt was going to run. And that's a freshman. That's a true freshman. That's a kid who was in high school last year. And he's figuring that out at the line of scrimmage just because he's smart enough to do it. So kudos to this kid. Kudos to the coaching staff for all the freshmen. Jalen Knighton's been playing phenomenally. Besides Tyler and James Williams, you got other kids that are contributing, that are young players. Chance Williams is playing. He's deflecting balls. They're getting a lot of contributions, not just Tyler Van Dyke and James Williams.
And if he can continue this and have some success, well, I was afraid that the transfer portal at the end of the year was going to include young players and, of course, some of the, veteran players that maybe want to get the hell out. But now, if you can continue what we've seen the last 2 weeks for the rest of the season, well, maybe the transfer portal is only going to have those guys that you really want to get rid of now. That's kind of what you're fighting now for the rest of the year, right?
Absolutely, and I will say this based on some conversations that I've had, that is the priority at Miami, is to make sure that the best players don't leave this program. And that's all they're pretty much concerned with.
Georgia Tech, FSU, Virginia Tech, and Duke. Those are the last 4 opponents. Should they win the next 4 games? And Vatek, by the way, is home.
Yeah, I think they're going to – I think they've got the best quarterback in all 4 of those matchups. And I think FSU's season will essentially be on the brink. FSU's got to play NC State this week. They'll have 6 losses after that. So they're going to be in desperation mode. I think that's the most dangerous game, being the rivalry game on the road. But if Miami hits them in the mouth early, they could fold, and that's a very winnable game, even with FSU, playing for its bowl life at that point.
All right, so now let me go with we talked a lot of positives. Let me unearth a negative that people may not be looking at, okay? Which kind of sucks in a way because things are going well right now. But Rhett Lashley wasn't looking too good. And maybe he wasn't going to get those kind of offers that a lot of people are going to talk about. But all of a sudden, TVD is making him look pretty damn good. And if the next 4 games, and if you win enough to get into a bowl game and you have a great bowl performance, this success is a lot of fun, but holy crap, we might lose the offensive coordinator because of it, because he's looking good now all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very interesting offseason. The one we're sitting here in our own bubble thinking about, well, is Manny Diaz going to survive and what's going to happen?
Oh God, he'll survive.
But there's so many coaches that are going to be on the move this offseason. I mean, I think there's 6 jobs that are open right now. And so you're going to have the musical chairs. And look, to be honest with you, Rhett Lashley's name was already coming up. I think if Gus Malzahn didn't take the UCF job, I think he might have been the second or third phone call after that. So, this is a guy who was already on the verge of getting a head coaching job. I agree with you. I think if Miami wins out, which very good possibility, and they get to the ACC championship game, which, oh, by the way,
it's a possibility.
Pretty good chance of that happening too if they win out. Then yes, I think without a doubt, Miami, he's gonna be an attractive option for a lot of teams. At which point, if Manny Diaz is still coach, then we'll see what happens, right? We'll see if he can get another really good hire, bring somebody else in here to run this offense and do the things that they want to do.
Manny, they could have lost all these games. They weren't firing Diaz anyways. But we got to stop with it. You and I know that they weren't going to swallow 2 years of salary. And let me tell you, by you saying that there are 6 jobs open, that's actually a terrible thing for the University of Miami, because then that means you get into a bidding war. And for a school that doesn't want to pay their coaches, to get the elite coaches, the last thing they want to do is be involved in a bidding war, because they're going to end up getting the crumbs that are left over is basically what they'll end up with.
I think that's been the narrative for the University of Miami for a long time now. And I understand where it comes from, because they've never proven to us that they're going to spend big money. But having some conversations here in the last couple of weeks with some people, I'm beginning to think that things are going to change. I'm actually going to have an article here in The Athletic soon. It's going to have some very interesting information.
All right. Well, we look forward to that. Subscribe to it, because I definitely I would love to see them actually spend some money and take it to the next level. That would be really nice, man. I got to say, I watch every game, no matter how bad it is, Dolphins or Canes or Inter Miami, whatever it is, or Marlins. But this was fun, dude, the last 2 weeks. I got to say, a lot of fun. It was put a smile on my face. It was nice to see the quarterback play. It was nice to see playmakers, on defense. That was really nice to see. I'm just saying, I enjoyed it, man. All right, Georgia Tech. That should be. I know they passed the ball now, but that still should be a win, right?
Yeah, I think as long as they keep their quarterback contained, Sims is a good quarterback. He's a very elusive guy. He's a guy who I think is going to be a problem in the conference for the next 2 years. And so to me, it all comes down to that. How well do they stop the running quarterback? They didn't do it against Sam Howell, but they've got different guys on the field now, right? And they've got a different mentality. And so, but I think offensively, Miami should be able to score on Georgia Tech pretty good and win this game. I think the spread is 9, if I'm not mistaken. I don't trust these guys to cover the spread. They've just played close games every week.
Yeah, no, of course. You can't trust
I would take Georgia Tech with the points, but I think Miami wins.
Yeah, you can't. We've had fun, but doesn't mean you can trust the University of Miami football team yet. But it's been fun. Hey, man, when you do good, it's like people were freaking out that I was giving Manny credit on Twitter on Saturday. And it's like, why are you doing this? And I go, well, because the man deserved. Give him credit. I may not be a Manny Diaz fan or a Manny Diaz believer, but dude, give him a little love, bro. At least they played well the last 2 weeks, and they've won against 2 ranked teams, 2 teams that I thought they were going to lose to, bro.
We all did.
We thought they were going to lose those games, so they won. Give them a little. I mean, sometimes people have trouble just because you may not think Manny's the guy. Okay, that's fine. I understand that, but if they had a nice little stretch, give people a little love when they deserve it. And Manny Diaz and company deserve a little love for what they've done the last 2 weeks. Okay. And by the way, they gave me a little entertainment, man, because, you know, I'm getting tortured on Sundays. So I was getting tortured Saturdays and
Yeah.
Sundays. It was nice to have, you know, a day off of torture on Saturday. So, you know, I'll take it, bro. I'll take it. And if you tell me they're going to spend, if you tell me they're going to spend, I'm going to get sexually aroused now all of a sudden. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I left you speechless.
Well, we'll see what happens, but I'll tell you this. I think, you know, the one thing you got to give Manny Diaz credit for, and the one reason I think he still has a job, is because he has not lost his locker room, and he's brought in enough young talent, okay, that's hungry, that is willing to play hard, and they're good. Some of those guys are pretty good. They're better than the older guys.
They look like Miami players. They actually look like Miami players. They look like dogs.
Absolutely.
Like dogs.
And I think, you know, the Michigan State loss, the Alabama loss don't look so bad anymore. And I think, you know, even the losses to Virginia, North Carolina, it's a 1 or 2 plays away, man, from being undefeated in this conference. You know, 4-4 is not a good record. It's not good enough at Miami, but I think they have a very good shot. They have a very good shot at running the table here and finishing with 9 or 10 wins if they can get into the ACC championship game. Because I think they could beat Wake Forest if they played Wake Forest.
Yeah, if they play the way they've played the last 2 weeks, they got a great shot at running the table. I'm with you all the way. That'll be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for that article. And we'll talk about it here on the show. Manny, thank you as always, my brother. You're a stud. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. And if you want to get a little juicy story that's coming up, subscribe to The Athletic so you can get the best coverage locally on your Miami Hurricanes. And you can also get nationally. Be good, Manny. Thank you, my brother. There you go. That's our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.